if we don't run him in that, he won't run until about the Moir, or maybe a run before that. We might give him a 1,000-metre run before the Moir and give him the Moir, and then after that we'll look at giving him the best of the spring grass at home and look at an autumn campaign.
So maybe Street Ruffian will be kept very fresh for Cox Plate Day in the Moir Stakes, or he might run next week in the Manikato Stakes. The Wait for Age race in Sydney yesterday, the Premier Stakes, we may have seen a top-class horse in the making, with Integra successful, Shane Dye the winning jockey. It's amazing. The big races in Sydney, Dye, Dipman and Cassidy, they seem to dominate.
Set. Racing, good start, bar Integra, who dwelt his last out of the barrier. St Jude, hard-ridden from an outside gate, is trying to lead, but Volcanic Prince is going to hold him out. Wong is running third, Patriro close handy today in fourth spot, and then our Poverty Bay, followed by Boasting and Sioux Chief. Integra back second last, and Regal Native is last at the end.
Integra settled at the rear of the field. Volcanic Prince made the pace, with the $1 million colt St Jude sitting at his girth.
A turn for home. St Jude is quickly throwing down the gauntlet to Volcanic Prince. Our Poverty Bay on the outside looming up, followed by Wong. Patriro's run into a dead end, and then Sioux Chief and Integra at the 200. St Jude got to the lead, but he's flat chat. He got away a length or more now to Wong. Integra on the outside is running home hard. He's the danger. Integra swamping St Jude. Patriro getting a late rails run, but Integra wins the Premier. Integra beat Wong second, St Jude third, Patriro fourth.
Yes, he's a good horse. Brian Mayfield Smith has had a lean time in the last couple of years, the top trainer from New South Wales, but he feels that Integra is a chance in the Cox Plate later this season. So Shane Dye might have to make a choice between Canny Lad and Integra later in the spring. Well, what's coming up next week in racing? It really gets hot. $250,000 Manikato Stakes in Moonee Valley, $100,000 Warwick Stakes at Warwick Farm, one of 3 races worth $100,000 in Sydney next Saturday, and we'll have all the highlights of the big races around Australia next week on Sports World. And speaking of big races, John, there was a $100,000 race in the Northern Territory on Monday.
There was indeed. It was the Darwin Cup, and it came of age this week. A record crowd, a near record race time, took the annual event to new heights.
The Top End's Fanny Bay Racecourse bubbled over with excitement on Monday as a record crowd of 20,000 people settled into Darwin's social event of the year. It might not match the Melbourne Cup for writ, but there's no shortage of tries here. And there's one thing you can always rely on in Darwin on Cup Day, and that's good weather. Hats in all shapes and sizes were the order of the day as people came prepared for a day of colour and excitement. Thousands of punters teamed through the betting ring, many for their once-a-year flutter on the horses. And the stables were a hive of activity as the horses were prepared for the big day's 8-race program. But win or lose, the clink of champagne glasses and the cheer of the crowd kept spirits high all day.
Hello, Mum. Hello, Dad. Hello, Auntie Vera.
This year's Cup favourite was 4-year-old Lord Chamberlain, dubbed locally as the Gunner from Victoria. His little-known Alice Springs trainer, John Turner, paid $30,000 for him and turned down a $150,000 sale offer before the race. Turner had his eye on the Cup and the $65,000 purse, but more than anything else, the prestige of being a Darwin Cup winner. And he wasn't disappointed. The vice-regal youngster was ridden in a masterly fashion by New South Wales jockey Neil Payne. It was a tight field, but Lord Chamberlain romped home in 2 minutes and 53 seconds, just outside the track record. In Darwin, Rosemary Hess reporting, Sports World.
Yes, he's not a bad little netty, Lord Chamberlain. He cost his new owner $45,000. He used to be trained by Lee Friedman in Melbourne, and that race worth about $60,000 to the winner. Now, speaking of racing, one of your old mates loved to have a bet, Phil Dent. Guess who he's coaching at the moment, do you know?
Well, he started off coaching Michael Chang, so I don't know whether he's doing it again.
Oh, you've done me in. I just read this week that he's a new coach of Chang. He's teaching him a new serve.
Well, that's fantastic, because he really started him off when he was a 14, 15-year-old.
Well,